since yesterday or earlier today you watched the notes from the beginning or from the first page, now we're on to page 2, and we're going to really apply some of these inequalities. Number 7 says, write and solve an inequality to find the values of x for which the area, so you know we're talking about area, of the rectangle is greater than the area of the triangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out, well, what are we trying to find? I want to know when the area of the rectangle is greater than the area of the triangle. Remember, to find area of a rectangle, you have length times your width. Area of the triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. So now let's just get these values from our pictures. Our length of our rectangle, our length and our width, we have 15, and the width is the whole quantity x plus 3. Since it's the whole thing, this whole thing is the width, I'm going to put parentheses because it's 15 times the whole x plus 3 is greater than 1/2 times my base is this whole x plus 5 times the height, which is 20, times 20. Well, now let's go ahead, and first we need to distribute our 15 because it's the length times the whole width. So you have 15 times x is 15x plus 15 times 3 is 45 is greater than, remember that beautiful commutative property says that since it's multiplication, the order doesn't matter. So I'm going to do my 1/2 times 20 and get 10 times the quantity x plus 5. Remember the commutative property, the order didn't matter. Now I'll distribute. And I get 15x plus 45 is greater than 10 times x is 10x plus 5 times 10 is 50. Now we can start solving. I think it's easier to move the smaller of the variables, so subtract 10x from both sides. 15x minus 10x is 5x plus 45 is greater than 10x minus 10x is 0. 0 plus 50 is 50. Subtract 45, subtract 45, and you get 5x is greater than 5. Divide by 5, divide by 5, x is greater than 1. So it said find the values of x for which the area of the rectangle is greater than the area of the triangle. It's everything for x is greater than 1. Pretty interesting there. Now you guys have heard about the Post-Gazette and the Tribune-Review. So the Tribune-Review charges $650 plus $80 per week to run an ad. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette charges $145 per week. For how many weeks will the total cost of the Trib be less expensive than the cost of the Post-Gazette? So what are we looking for? I want to know when the Trib is going to be less expensive than the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Well, what's X, or in this case I'm going to call it W, and that's the weeks that the Trib is cheaper. Well, what do we know about each? For the Tribune-Review, we know that it's $650 plus $80 per week. So remember, per is time and plus, so it's $650 plus $80 per week, or times week. Less than the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette doesn't have an upfront cost, but they're $145 per week. So if I subtract 8W, I'm left with 650 is less than 145 minus 8 gives me $80 per week, $80 per week, 80. So when you subtract 80, you get 65W. Divide both sides by 65. Divide both sides by 65. 65. 650 divided by 65 gives you 10. So 10 is less than W, or W is greater than 10. So if I were writing a sentence about this, I would say after, because it's greater than, something like that would be after 10 weeks. After 10 weeks, the Tribune is cheaper. Now let's just do a small little closer together. Replace the blanks so that the inequality is an identity, hence all real numbers of the solution, remember from the front, and discuss. Well, take a couple of seconds, see if you can think of anything. Okay, well the number that I first put in was 0. 0 minus 2x is always going to be smaller than 5. Notice because 0 is less than 5. When you do the golden rule of algebra, the same thing to both sides, it's still going to stay true. You could have 1 and 2 because 1 is less than 2, and that would make a true statement, which would be all real numbers. The next one said fill in the blank so that the inequality is a contradiction, hence there's no solutions. Well, if we just flip-flop it and say 5 minus 2x is less than 0 minus 2x, well, if you would add 2x to both sides, you'd be left with negative 2x minus 2x is 0. 5 minus 0 is less than negative 2x plus 2x is 0. 0 minus 0, you get 5 is less than 0? Well, that's not true, so that's false. So it'd be no solution. Now that you've filled out all your notes, you can go ahead and there's a ticket out. Go ahead, please do your ticket out, and then you may begin working on your homework. For this ticket out, when you're done with it, please turn it in.